Hello, and welcome back. I'm really glad you're here today because this video may gently change how you see your everyday life. Have you ever felt constantly tired, anxious, or overwhelmed, yet you can't quite explain why? You wake up already tense, your mind never fully rests, and even simple days feel heavy. Many of us live like this without realizing that small habits and hidden thought patterns are quietly draining our energy and affecting both our mental and physical health. In this video, I want to share some very common behaviors we often overlook and how they slowly push us out of balance. More importantly, I'll show you simple, realistic alternatives that bring calm back into daily life. If you're longing for a quieter mind, more stable energy, and a kinder relationship with yourself, stay with me. Watch until the end, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so we can continue exploring gentle, meaningful ways to live better together. Right now, we're starting with your body when you eat. Many of us maintain eating and drinking habits simply because everyone does it. We drink coffee every morning, rush through breakfast, and call it normal, without ever asking whether our bodies actually agree. For a long time, I noticed how common it is to drink coffee, even when it causes discomfort, heart racing, stomach pain, or anxiety. Breakfast becomes another obligation, eating quickly, eating anything just to follow a routine. The real problem isn't the food itself, but the mindset behind it. We stop listening to our bodies and start listening to social norms. Without realizing it, we create pressure to be like others, fearing that doing something different means being strange or undisciplined. This disconnection slowly affects both mental and physical health. When the body sends signals, fatigue, tension, digestive issues, we often ignore them and push through. Over time, this creates chronic stress and a sense of being out of sync with ourselves. Real change starts with paying attention. After you eat or drink, take a moment to tune in to how your body feels, noticing whether a sense of calm or unease arises, and whether your body feels light or weighed down. Rather than pushing yourself into rigid habits, consider softer adjustments. Swapping coffee for tea or a cup of warm water can help calm the nervous system. Choosing simple, easily digested foods allows your body to feel cared for instead of overloaded. At its heart, this approach is an act of self-respect. When you listen to what your body truly needs, the urge to meet outside expectations fades, making space for a gentler, more peaceful relationship with yourself. If this reflection resonated with you, don't miss tomorrow's new video. I'll be sharing practical ways to let go of habits that truly stay with you, simple, realistic changes that gently support your life and well-being. You'll definitely find it helpful. Once we begin listening to our bodies through food, the next place our attention naturally goes is the morning, especially how we start the day before the world rushes in. This next part is about calmer morning without phone and how the first moments after waking set the tone for everything. Opening social media the moment our eyes open pulls us into other people's lives before we have met our own. Work messages arrive when the mind is still foggy, creating urgency and pressure before the body is ready. Without realizing it, we begin comparing ourselves to others, measuring our mornings against curated images and productivity updates. The result is a familiar feeling. We haven't done anything yet, but we already feel tired, behind, and mentally crowded. Over time, this habit affects both psychological and physiological health. The nervous system stays in a constant state of alert, making it harder to focus, relax, or feel grounded. When the first thoughts of the day belong to someone else's expectations, our own needs are pushed aside. This disconnection can lead to anxiety, low motivation, and a sense of losing control over our time. A gentler alternative begins with creating distance. Keeping the phone on silent mode and delaying its use until after breakfast or light movement makes a noticeable difference. Instead of scrolling, start with simple actions that support the body and mind. Drink a glass of warm water, take 5 to 10 slow breaths, or write down 3 priorities for the day. These small rituals signal safety and clarity to the nervous system. In practice, avoiding social media in the early morning reduces exposure to negative news and unnecessary comparison. Beginning the day with quiet, intentional actions builds a sense of inner stability. Mornings become calmer and focus improves naturally throughout the day because the day begins with you, not your phone. When mornings become calmer, we start to notice something else. Next, we'll slow things down even further. Here we're talking about slowing down. Slamming doors, dropping objects loudly, or dragging chairs across the floor may seem insignificant, yet they quietly reveal tension we carry inside. These habits often appear when the mind is stressed or overwhelmed. Placing a phone down with a sharp sound, closing a door too hard after a long day, or pulling a chair noisily in a shared space are rarely about the objects themselves. They are expressions of impatience, irritation, or emotional fatigue. The problem is that we usually don't notice how hurried or uncomfortable we feel. The body reacts before the mind becomes aware. I began to understand that rough movements overstimulate the senses. Loud sounds and sudden impacts keep the nervous system alert, preventing true rest. Over time, this creates an environment that feels tense even at home. What helped was learning to slow down deliberately. Placing objects down just 1 second slower changed everything. Holding the door until it gently meets the frame, or arranging items with the intention of enough and in the right place became quiet moments of grounding. In everyday life, these changes are simple yet powerful. Gently placing a glass of water prevents spills and breakage, but more importantly, it softens the mind. Pulling a chair in quietly makes shared spaces feel respectful and calm. These actions reduce unnecessary noise and visual chaos, allowing the body to relax. This mindful way of handling objects naturally slows the rhythm of life. Sensory stimulation decreases, emotional reactions soften, and the living space becomes more supportive. When the environment feels gentle, the mind follows. Stability doesn't always come from big changes. Sometimes it begins with how softly we place our hands. As we slow down our movements, it also becomes easier to see where unnecessary complexity lives. Now let's shift into everyday life at home. This part is called less laundry, less stress. My closet was full, yet I always felt like I had nothing to wear. Every day began with unnecessary decisions, piles of clothes, and a subtle sense of frustration. The problem wasn't fashion, it was complexity. Too many clothes meant too much folding, storing, and searching. I spent time organizing outfits I rarely wore, washing items that didn't suit my lifestyle, and refolding clothes that stayed untouched. This constant cycle created mental clutter. Without noticing, my morning started with small stress long before real work began. What helped was simplifying with intention. I began keeping only clothes that were easy to mix, easy to wash, and comfortable for daily life. Items I wore often were hung or placed where I could reach them immediately. Instead of perfectly folded stacks, I chose visibility and accessibility. The goal shifted from looking organized to feeling supported. The change was practical and emotional. With fewer clothes, there was less folding and less mess. Mornings became calmer because decisions were already made. I could get dressed without thinking, saving energy for more important things. Over time, the simplicity lightened my mind. Fewer choices meant less mental noise. With fewer decisions around clothing, the mind gains clarity, and that clarity makes us more aware of another subtle drain on our energy: unfinished tasks. Let's talk about finishing small tasks. The habit of reading without closure creates hidden fatigue. Each unread or unanswered email stays in the back of the mind, asking for attention. I often found myself rereading the same message multiple times, wasting energy and focus. Instead of freeing my mind, checking email became a loop of interruption. It pulled me out of the present and kept me mentally scattered. What helped was changing how I defined done. If an email could be answered in 2 minutes, I responded immediately. No rewriting, no overthinking, just a clear, simple reply. For longer or more complex emails, I stopped leaving them floating. I either added a short note in my task list or scheduled a specific time to handle them. This small act of intention made a big difference. In practice, this looks very simple. A short confirmation email gets answered on the spot. A detailed request is marked with a clear time-like reply at 3 p.m. Once that decision is made, the mind relaxes. There is no need to remember or reread. Fewer unfinished tasks meant more clarity and efficiency. More importantly, it created a sense of trust with myself. When I open an email now, I know I will either complete it or consciously place it somewhere safe. That clarity brings calm, and calm improves everything I do. Once we stop letting small tasks pile up digitally, it becomes natural to apply the same mindset to our home. Continuing with the theme of small actions, we now arrive at cleaning as you go. I waited until the house became messy, then spent an entire weekend exhausted cleaning everything at once. The relief never lasted. Within days, the mess returned, and so did the frustration. This cycle is more draining than it looks. When clutter builds up, it quietly affects the nervous system. Walking into a messy space creates mental noise, even if we pretend not to notice it. Then when cleaning finally happens, it feels overwhelming and punishing. I realized the real problem wasn't the mess, it was postponing small actions until they turned into heavy tasks. The shift came when I stopped treating cleaning as a separate event. Instead of cleaning days, I began cleaning in real time. After eating, I wiped the table immediately. After waking up, I folded the blanket before leaving the bedroom. These actions took less than a minute, but they changed the rhythm of my day. I also set a gentle limit, 5 to 10 minutes a day, no more. Some days I wiped a surface, other days I put things back in place. Knowing there was an endpoint removed resistance. Cleaning no longer felt like a burden, but like closing small open loops. In practice, this approach keeps the home consistently tidy. There is no dramatic mess and therefore no need for extreme effort. Weekends feel lighter, no longer consumed by deep cleaning. More importantly, a tidy space supports emotional stability. When the environment is calm, the mind follows. Small, consistent care creates a home that feels safe and manageable. And in that quiet order, I feel more grounded, rested, and present in my own life. A calmer home creates space for movement, not the kind that feels demanding, but movement that fits gently into real life. Now let's talk about movement. This section, short daily exercises. I thought it required a gym membership, special clothes, and long sessions, scheduled perfectly into the day. When life became busy, as it always does, I stopped exercising altogether and quietly blamed myself for lacking discipline. The real issue wasn't motivation, but the structure I had built around movement. Spending time commuting to a gym, changing clothes, and following rigid routines made exercise feel heavy. On stressful days, it was the first thing I canceled. This pattern created guilt and a sense of failure, which slowly affected both my mood and my relationship with my body. Things changed when I allowed movement to be simple. Instead of asking, "How much should I do?" I asked, "What can I do today?" I started with 5 minutes of stretching in the morning, nothing intense, just waking up my joints and breathing deeply. Some evenings, I added 10 minutes of gentle movement before showering. No equipment, no pressure. These short sessions fit naturally into daily life. Because they were easy to start, I did them more often. Consistency replaced intensity. Over time, my body felt more flexible, my energy improved, and I stopped associating exercise with stress. The most surprising shift was psychological. By removing the idea that workouts must be long or perfect, I reduced self-criticism. Movement became an act of care rather than obligation. I no longer felt behind or inadequate on busy days. Simple at-home exercise proved sustainable. It supported my physical health without demanding more than I could give. In choosing ease over complexity, I found a rhythm that respects both my body and my real life. Here, we're exploring limiting news protects your peace. From the moment I woke up to the time I went to bed, bad news quietly followed me. The problem with continuous exposure is subtle. Even when we think we're unaffected, the body reacts. Anxiety rises, sleep becomes lighter, and motivation slowly drains away. I noticed I felt tense without knowing why, easily discouraged and emotionally tired. The world started to feel heavier than it actually was. What helped was changing not what I read, but how and when I read it. I chose a few reliable sources and stopped scrolling endlessly. Instead of checking updates throughout the day, I limited myself to reading the news once, usually in the late morning. This small boundary created immediate relief. I also made one rule that changed my evenings completely: no news before bed. Replacing nighttime scrolling with quiet activities, stretching, reading, or simply resting allowed my nervous system to calm down. Sleep became deeper and mornings felt less anxious. Being selective with information isn't ignorance, it's protection. When the mind isn't constantly under threat, it has space to breathe. By reducing exposure to negative news, I regained emotional balance and clarity. Protecting mental health sometimes begins with choosing what not to consume. This part is choosing alignment over obligation. I accepted requests, favors, and invitations even when my schedule was already full. On the surface, it looked like productivity and kindness. Inside, it slowly turned into exhaustion. The consequences were clear but easy to ignore. My days became overcrowded, my energy constantly drained. I moved from one obligation to the next without space to breathe. What hurt the most was the quiet resentment toward others and toward myself for agreeing to things I didn't truly want or have the capacity for. I realized the problem wasn't the number of tasks, but the lack of choice. Saying yes automatically meant I stopped listening to my limits. Over time, this habit affected my mood, sleep, and even my sense of self. I felt busy but disconnected from what actually mattered. The change began with a simple rule: only agree to what feels necessary or genuinely aligned. When I was already overwhelmed, I learned to decline politely but clearly. A simple "I can't take this on right now" was enough. No long explanations, no guilt. In daily life, this meant prioritizing important work and letting go of the rest. Some opportunities waited, some invitations passed, and that was okay. What I gained was space, mental and emotional. Life became quieter and more intentional. With fewer commitments, I had more energy for meaningful work and real rest. Letting go of constant agreement reduced social pressure and restored balance. Saying no wasn't selfish, it was an act of self-respect that allowed me to live with clarity and calm. Finally, we arrive at the last section, balance through earlier bedtimes. Nights became the only quiet time, so I kept scrolling, working, or thinking long after my body asked for rest. Slowly, this habit drained my energy and made even simple routines feel heavy. The effects showed up everywhere. I woke up tired, relied on stimulation to function, and struggled to maintain good habits. Morning routines failed before they began. Exercise, healthy meals, even calm thinking felt out of reach. Lack of sleep didn't just affect my body, it blurred my emotions and patience. The change didn't come from forcing myself into strict schedules. Instead, I shifted gently. I began going to bed just a little earlier without pressure. Turning off screens 30 minutes sooner was a simple but powerful start. That small gap allowed my mind to slow down and my body to prepare for rest. On some nights, I used that time to stretch, read, or simply sit quietly. Nothing productive, just restful. Over time, my sleep improved naturally. Waking up became easier and mornings felt less rushed. Today, we talked about small but harmful habits, how we eat without listening to our bodies, start mornings overwhelmed by our phones, live in cluttered spaces, overcommit, overconsume information, rush through life, and neglect rest. None of these habits are dramatic on their own, but together they quietly drain our mental and physical well-being. If you recognize yourself in any of these moments, I want you to know this: you don't need to change everything at once. I'm here to walk with you as you slowly notice what no longer serves you and gently replace it with choices that support a calmer, healthier life. If this topic resonates, I have a separate video dedicated to practical ways of letting go of habits that truly last, simple decluttering practices you can actually maintain. You should watch it right after this video. Missing it would truly mean missing something valuable for your daily life.